Hey everyone, welcome to another episode from Ampro Engineering. I'm in the middle of a number of projects. Basically, I'm trying to finish all this stuff that's been waiting for years, like this car. This actually started before Ampro Engineering even looked at RC car stuff. So I feel that now is time to complete this project. As you can tell, this is small. This is 1/16 scale, and it's a car that is made by Motor Max. Now this started off as a radio-controlled car, and when it worked, it wasn't bad. It was, it's on-off throttle and full left, full right, but it worked reasonably well. And then very early on, it just stopped working. Now, the reason why I've decided to do something with this car is because the body is a Ford Pinto, and those of you who follow this channel know I really like these cars. The car started life with a fairly sizable cowl on the hood, and it had a blower sticking out of the top of it. It wasn't particularly well done. It wasn't hideous either, but it wasn't my style. So what I did is I 3D printed a panel to fill the hole after I cut it all out. And unfortunately, I had to be kind of careful right here, as the standoffs that hold the front of the car together are actually hovering slightly over the hood area. So we had to be a little bit careful. The electronics, as you can see, have been ripped out, and I did replace the steering servo with just a little tiny standard servo that I had laying about. This is a fairly low current draw ESC, and then a FlySky receiver. All this is going to be powered by this radio here, which, by the way, is fantastic. This is the FlySky FSIT4S, worst name I've ever heard. And we're going to plug this in. Temporarily, I am getting power from this battery, 7.4 volt lithium polymer battery. The plan is to actually use the 4 AA's in here. I will be using some nickel zinc batteries, as those are 1.6 volts each, which will get us to a more appropriate voltage. I did use the stock switch location here, so we'll just hit the switch. Hopefully there's no major fires. And you can see here that we have steering. And of course, it's fully proportional. It sounds actually pretty good. And then our throttle. I have driven around, and it actually seems to drive pretty well. One addition I did do is I made working suspension. Now, it isn't, so you can see that here, it isn't particularly, good. It's just the addition of a spring. I redesigned these little knuckles, which allowed me to put a very tiny little spring in there, but it's enough. And then the rim here has been 3D printed. There are dual ball bearings that allow this to ride quite nicely on the shaft, so it'll give it a little bit better of a ride. The rear is going to require a lot of work to install ball bearings, so I'm not going to bother. There's no reason to do it. The front was simple, so why not? The front axle has this wheel that's 3D printed with this very long, basically this shaft, which is ridiculously weak. So the idea is to take this brass rod, slide that directly over that, which does nothing. However, this little adapter here will slide over that. Now it will redistribute the load from the hub, where it's very rigidly pressed onto, back onto the axle here. So now it's got a good 4 millimeters of axle to grab onto. So this should make the wheel hub assembly much, much more rigid. And now, as soon as I put a pin in there to hold it in place, we'll spin nice and free. If I could do that with one hand, which I can't. That's all. You see the wheels rotate now. And we have some suspension. Not much, but it's there. The body, as we can see, is going to have operational side markers. I did cut those out. The taillights are also operational. And unfortunately, at the rear, we can see the original body mounting points actually used to go right here on the body. But now that I want to have taillights that are operational, and here is one of the taillights right there. The issue is that the taillight will then come into contact with the future body mount that's sitting in there, like so. So this modification was necessary. It's kind of a pain. You got to kind of drop it all in at once. It's not the cleanest thing in the world, but it does get the job done-ish. We did rip off the stock grille in favor of a much more proper grille that, as you can see, is actually open. So our proper turn signals there. Operational headlights will be going in. So the car's gonna have its full lighting kit and all that good stuff. It's not going to have any speed boost, but again, this is not really what it's intended for. So this is just kind of a quick video to show you what I'm up to with this car. And the next time you see this, I'll probably have the body painted because it's not too far off. It needs a little bit more prep. And then I can give it a nice coat of primer, do a color sand, probably have some issues here to sort, and then another, I suspect, 2 or 3 coats of primer. Especially in this area here, and we can begin the final assembly. I am waiting on another set of these front tires because I want to have the same rear tires and the same rear rims, which need to go away because these are significantly beefier than the fronts are right now. So stay tuned. I'll be happy to just cross this little guy off the list. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you later.